There we go.
Lily did very good in our session. This is her roadmap to success. Now, one little tip, I'm petting her in kind of small circles on her chest, which can be a calming way of petting a dog. It helps kind of reassure and calm them. You can see her ears are more forward. When I first came in, her ears are further back, and that's kind of an indication that she's a little bit insecure. Also, she kind of was lowering her head. She had some stiffness at times when she was uncomfortable. When she would, whenever to get the treat, she kind of lean way into it, so she's keeping her feet as far away as possible. A little hiccup, and so those are signs to recognize that she's a little bit insecure. Now, because she has some insecurity issues, I'd like the guardians to get in a habit of, whenever possible, petting her under her chin. We want to facilitate this nose-up orientation. Insecure dogs look down, and proud dogs have their nose up. The guardians, we're trying to show her a lot of love and affection because she's had a bad background and she's, clearly has some psychological issues. But anything your dog is doing when you pet your dog is what you're reinforcing. So if we pet her for being nervous, we're going to enhance that. And I've seen dogs that act nervous to get attention. So we don't want to do that. If she's nervous and upset and we want to comfort her, we can touch her, let her know we're with her. That actually relaxed her right there. But we don't want to pet her. We also want to avoid patting on top of the head. We can caress and we can scratch, but they don't really like it when they're patted. And again, for her, that's going to facilitate that nose down. So whenever possible, we want to try to pet her under her chin. And she's probably going to move her head away from it, at least initially, because she feels like, I'm not confident enough to raise my nose that high. That's all right, keep doing it until eventually she feels better about it. Let me see. I'd like the guardians to really put a premium on passive training, probably more than anything else. And that's basically just narrating whatever she's doing. So if she comes up to you and just comes on her own, pet her and say the word come. If she sits down next to you, pet her and say the word sit. If she lays down, I would use the word crash, but I would come up with a fun word, maybe something the kids can help come up with a word for this. And so if she lays down on her own, we're just going to pet her and say that command word. And not good sit or good down or her name and down, just the down. And I wouldn't use down. And be careful how you say it. I say crash is my word for lay down. If she lays down, I'm not going to pet her and say crash. That sounds different than crash. So we want to be consistent. We can baby talk if we want, but we want to always baby talk. So however you're going to say the word, just be consistent in how you say it. But passive training is going to take the humans in both households a couple of weeks to get in the habit of doing so. So maybe we say the word reward. So if somebody says the word reward to you and you're with Lily, you look at Lily and whatever she happens to be doing, you pet her and say that word, and when we do it right away. You have a window of 3 seconds to correct or reward your dog for them to make the connection as to why they're being corrected or rewarded. So if she sits and I pet her and say sit within that 3-second window, after enough repetitions, sit means a reward and also means a sitting position. And then when we tell her to sit, she's more inclined to do so. So I would do this with sit, with come, with lay down. When she jumps off the couch, I would say off for that. When she goes out the door, you can maybe say outside. When she goes in the door, you could say inside. When she goes to her dog bed, I would assign a command word for each dog bed. I have one client that they love going to Colorado, and so they have a 3-story house. They have a dog bed on each floor. Each dog bed has a different designation. The one on the main floor they call Aspen, the second floor they call Boulder, the top floor they call Vale. And they can sit there in the bottom floor and say Vale, and the dog will run up to the 3rd story and be on the dog bed. Now the way I do this is I leave a treat or toss a treat onto the dog bed. When the dog goes over, the second it touches its lips, right after it goes into their mouth, I say the word Aspen or Vale or Venice or whatever the words you want to use are. Make it a 1-word command, and this gives you some power because then you can later on, not power, but it makes it easy to communicate. You can say Venice, and the dog goes over to Venice. And so we're able to direct if somebody's going to do something that's going to startle her, we tell her to go to Venice before it startles her. And so the second she touches, the tree touches her lips, right afterwards we say whatever the command word is. Also, every time that she comes into the office or wherever, we should leave a high-value training treat or something on the dog bed. Now, I prefer dog beds that are flat, that are with foam inside, not like feathers, because they're kind of get lumpy. I want the dog to be able to look at the dog bed and see, ooh, there's a treat, there's a bully stick, there's something on top of that. Now, the guardians have been giving her rawhides, which she does like to chew on. I would like them to switch over to bully bits, which are the bully sticks just in little pieces. Rawhides are soaked in bleach and ammonia, and because the dog ingests them, it's not very good for them in the long run. Also, she really seemed to like the tricky trainer treats that I used, so I'm going to leave the rest of the bag here. If she keeps on resonating with those, then keep on using those. A lot of people are like, oh, these are from Rachel Ray, you should like these. So the dog turns his nose up. It's what the dog likes, not what we like. Now, one of the houses, the kids, I think, probably are trying to pet her, engage with her to get her to feel better about them. But, I mean, she really warmed up with me, but I spent about 2 hours in a session without petting her at all. I gave her some treats, but I gave her space. I didn't try to force her to do anything. And instead of going and picking her up, I got her to come to me. So I would like to see people breadcrumbing her with these high-value tricky trainers. So if we let her see that we have a treat, we put one right here. If we're going to try to get her to come to us, if she's sitting over here, and I want her to come to me, and I hold the treat out with my palm up, and she doesn't come, I might take a treat, put it halfway distance between me and her, wait for her to come to that treat. When she's about to do it, about to lick it up, then I very slowly hold my hand down like this, a couple inches away. So she's already halfway there, and then I'll come and take that extra couple steps to come and get that treat. And so now she's getting an incentive every time she comes towards somebody, something good happens, I get a treat. Dogs get over things by literally moving forward, and there's a positive association with the person. So we can actually play a game of come on the couch. So we'd have one person sitting here, one person sitting there, and then we're going to have the dog going back and forth to us. And every time it takes that treat, we're going to say the word come right after it touches their lips. Now for her, she was interested in treats up to a point, and then I think she kind of got full. She's a little dog. So we want to make sure that we're breaking these treats in half. Don't give her too big a piece. We want to get the most mileage out of them that we can. But we want to get her moving. Now the Guardian's done a really great job of taking her out on walks, which we definitely want to do because dogs experience through scent, like I talked about in the other video. But also, the more active we are, if you work out a lot, you have to eat a bigger meal because you need more fuel for your body. If we're not moving, we're very sedentary, our digestive tract slows down, our sleeping pattern gets longer. There's a lot of things that kind of slide into that direction. So we want to move her the other direction. I'd like to see her getting 4 walks a day instead of 2. I'd also like to see, because she has some potty training issues, so when we take her outside, we're going to say the word potty right after she starts. We're not going to say go potty because that doesn't mean anything to her. And I'd recommend that we come up with a new word so that it doesn't have the baggage of whatever potty had before. So maybe we say business or whatever word they want. We wait for the dog to start going. We say business once. We have a treat. And we have the treat ready to go. Don't let the dog see it, but say business as soon as they start. When they finish, I crouch down and I hold the treat out, perfectly out to the side. When she comes over and takes it, puts it in her mouth, we say business again. Then pet her a little bit. So this gives her an incentive to want to go outside, and we're associating the word with the action. Now, for walks, the other thing is every time she potties outside, after she potties, I'd like to take her for a walk. Even if it's just 3 or 4 houses and then back, we're letting her sniff, and on the walks, we should let her sniff and explore. We don't want to pull. We're not walking her for exercise. We're walking her for stimulation and changing her environment. Eventually, hopefully, when she's over these problems, the Guardian will call me back, and we'll teach her how to walk in the heel. But right now, we just want her living life and be more dog. So every time she potties, we take her for a walk afterwards. She likes the walk. So that's another incentive. So every time after I pee, we go for a walk. Well, every time I go outside, I'm going to start peeing so we can get that walk in. Now, taking some kibble with you on a walk and once she eventually can sit on command, wouldn't be a bad thing to do as well. When we're walking, every once in a while she stops sniffing, she's looking around, tell her to sit, she sits, give her a piece of kibble, and we walk a little bit more. We can also use her kibble for other things. We'll talk about mealtime. She really likes wet food, which most dogs do. Wet food is really just dry food that has water, wet, canned food, I should say. It's just dry food that has water with more moisture. So you can give dry kibble and add hot water to it, and I swirl it around, makes a little bit of a stew. They have to drink the water first. You feel like you need the kibble is softer, and it's a little bit more palatable. Now, the Guardian's been leaving food in the bowl all the time. She eats the canned food right away, but the dry kibble she leaves, and she'll come and eat some of it later. We want her to only eat right after the human does, because dogs eat in the order of their rank. I think it would be more comforting for her to eat after an authority figure. But also we want to give an incentive to eat. If there's always food in the bowl, then why do I have to eat now? I can eat later. So if you if you're in the wild and you catch a chicken, well, you eat that chicken. You don't say, well, I'm going to save this for later because it's going to go bad, or mice, or whatever. So for her, we want her to see the food in the bowl as an exception. So when we're feeding her, I like to feed her a little bit of the dry kibble. What I would do is take 1 or 2 of the tricky trainers, demolish them into little tiny bits, and maybe rub a little bit on the kibble, but also sprinkle it around. So maybe half of her meal is the dry kibble, and then if she eats that, then she gets a little spoonful of the wet food, or the canned food. Now, the temperature of food matters, so what I would do is make sure we take the can out, or the portion out at least, and leave it on the counter, so that it warms up and is not refrigerated when we give it to her. Normally she would not be sitting on somebody's lap like this. She would have been running away. So I don't have her on a leash, but the leash is something we can definitely use for her as well, because she seems to kind of give it up a little bit. A lot of dogs do. When the leash is on, I don't have the ability to resist. When the leash is on, my flight mode kicks in. I'm just going to run away, and she did that a couple times. So the Guardian may need to, now this leash is about a 1/2 inch. I like a 3/4 inch, a really tiny little leash for her size. And what we want to do is put it on her. The Guardian can sit on it. So if this part is going across my lap, underneath me, and I'm going to give her maybe a foot or two and let her sit next to me on the couch. Right now what she's doing at this home is she's going and sitting on the other couch, and she's kind of burrowing herself in a little cubby between the cushions. So if we're on the couch and she is burrowing herself, try to call her over, get a treat, and then take that cushion away. So when she goes back, it's a little bit more open. We want her to spend more time in the open. Now if she wants to recuse herself and go back there to kind of reset, that's okay. But we'd like it to be progressive, so eventually she's spending more time outside than she is in there. And also taking her, one of the Guardians said that one of her kids really wanted to engage with her, but she kind of shies away from him. Well, I didn't really try to pet her for the first couple of hours I was here, so what I'd like that child or any of the children to do is get into using these treats, maybe put one here, get her to come closer to us, closer. So we might have a trail of treats, and each one's only an inch away, and so she might take it and run away. That's okay. Put another one. We want over time, when you have enough repetition, then she'll feel comfortable with us coming over and coming to us, because every time she does, something good happens, and we're not trying to pet her. We're not trying to snatch her. We're not doing anything bad. Eventually, we will be able to touch her, and then we will be able to pet her, and she's comfortable with it because we took our time. You have to go on the dog's time, especially when we have a dog like this. This is a dog psychology session. Most of my sessions are dog behavior sessions. We'd also, using food as a reward and a means to motivate her can be beneficial as well. So we might feed her a little bit less out of the bowl and more with these tricky trainers to get her to do different things. So she does squirt in and out the door at times when she's let in and out. Just putting her on a leash and walking her, what we do is we prop the door open, we walked in, we walked over here, did a circle, walked back inside, walked around the dining room table, brought her back out. Couple times, so doing that over and over helps her feel a little bit more relaxed with that situation. If they're running, they're in that panic mode, they're squirting, that kind of, I gotta get through there quick before my tail gets caught, or I get kicked, or whatever happened to her before. So we don't want to feel sorry for what happened for her before, because we can't fix that. All we can do now is help her in the now. Walking her in the house, actually on a leash, wouldn't be a bad thing. Keeping her on a leash at different times in the house that she wants to recuse herself would be helpful as well.